Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small planet through the viewport. New Aberdeen looked peaceful from orbit. Green fields covered most of the land. Small cities dotted the surface like tiny lights. The human colony seemed so quiet and harmless. "Intelligence report confirms our data, Admiral," said his tactical officer. 50,000 humans, mostly farmers and their families. No military installations detected. Their defense grid is basic at best. Kethvar nodded slowly. The Zephyrian hegemony had ruled this sector of space for over 300 years. These humans had arrived only 50 years ago, but they kept expanding. They built new colonies every year. They acted like they owned the galaxy. It was time to teach them a lesson. "They need to learn their place," Kethvar said. His voice was calm and cold. "The hegemony has been patient with their expansion. Too patient. This ends today." The 3 heavy cruisers of his task force moved into attack position. Each ship carried enough firepower to destroy a moon. Against a simple farming colony, it would be like using a sword to kill an insect. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet," reported the communications officer. "Put it through." A human face appeared on the main screen. The man looked, middle-aged with gray hair and worried eyes. He wore simple civilian clothes. "Zephyrian ships, this is Governor Martinez of New Aberdeen Colony. We are a peaceful settlement. We have no military forces. Please state your intentions." Kethvar stepped forward. "Governor Martinez, I am Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian hegemony. Your people have expanded into territory that belongs to us. This colony exists without our permission. Admiral, we filed all the proper documentation with the Galactic Council. This system was marked as unclaimed territory. We have every right to be here. The Galactic Council holds no authority over hegemony space. You have 1 hour to begin." "Evacuation procedures." The governor's face went pale. "Admiral, we have 50,000 people here. Most are families with children. We don't have enough ships to evacuate everyone. Please, we can negotiate. We can pay tribute or relocate to another system." Kethvar cut the transmission. He had heard enough human pleading for 1 day. "Admiral," his tactical officer said quietly, "the humans are powering up their defensive grid. It appears to be old Earth military surplus. Nothing that can threaten us." "Good. Let them try to defend themselves. It will make the lesson more clear." The Zephyrian ships spread out around the planet, their weapons charged with a low humming sound that vibrated through the ship's hull. Energy readings spiked across all 3 vessels. Below, on New Aberdeen, the colonists were not sitting idle. Emergency sirens wailed across every settlement. People ran to underground shelters that had been built for asteroid impacts and solar storms. Children cried as their parents carried them to safety. In the colony's defense center, military veterans worked frantically at their stations. Most had served in Earth's forces before retiring to this quiet farming world. They knew their weapons were no match for Zephyrian ships, but they would try anyway. "Missile batteries online," reported one technician. "Point defense systems active," called another. "Energy shields at maximum power." Governor Martinez stood in the center of the chaos. He had served in Earth's diplomatic corps before taking this job. He knew the Zephyrians were not known for mercy. "Send a message to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them what's happening here. Make sure they know we tried to negotiate." The first Zephyrian attack came without warning. Bright blue beams of energy struck the planet's orbital defense platforms. The small satellites exploded in silent flashes of light. Metal debris scattered across space. New Aberdeen's surface weapons fired back. Missiles streaked upward toward the alien ships. The Zephyrians barely noticed them. Their point defense systems destroyed every missile before it could get close. "Their weapons are pathetic," observed the tactical officer. "Should we continue the demonstration, Admiral?" "No more games. Begin orbital bombardment. Target the major population centers first." The 3 cruisers opened fire together. Massive energy beams reached down from space like the fingers of an Asur's angry god. Where they touched the ground, everything simply vanished. Buildings, vehicles, people, all turned to vapor in an instant. The bombardment continued for 20 minutes. The Zephyrians worked systematically, destroying every city and town on the planet. They left the farmland mostly intact. The message was clear. Humans could grow food for the hegemony, but they could not build cities without permission. When it was over, New Aberdeen looked like a dead world. Smoke rose from dozens of craters where cities once stood. The few survivors hid in deep underground shelters, too frightened to emerge. "Bombardment complete, Admiral," reported the tactical officer. "No significant life signs detected in the target areas." Kethvar nodded with satisfaction. "Excellent. Record a message for transmission to Earth." The Admiral stood straight and proud as the camera focused on him. "People of Earth, I am Admiral Kethvar of the Zephyrian hegemony. Your colony on New Aberdeen has been destroyed because it violated our territorial claims. This is your only warning. Remove all human settlements from hegemony space within 1 standard year or face the same fate. The hegemony has spoken." The 3 ships left the system as quietly as they had arrived. Behind them, New Aberdeen burned under its orange sun. What Admiral Kethvar did not know was that New Aberdeen was special. It was not just another farming colony. Many of the settlers were military families. They were the wives, children, and parents of Earth's most elite soldiers. Among the dead was Elena Chen, wife of Colonel Marcus Chen. Their twin daughters, Sophia and Maria, had been playing in the school playground when the orbital bombardment began. They were 7 years old. Also killed were the families of the 7th Ranger Battalion, Earth's most decorated Special Forces unit. The 23rd Marine Division had sent their families to New Aberdeen because it was supposed to be safe. The pilots of the elite 5th Fighter Wing had bought homes there for their retirement. The Zephyrians thought they had destroyed a random farming settlement. Instead, they had just killed the families of Earth's most dangerous warriors. News of the attack would take 3 weeks to reach Earth through the hyperspace communication relays. When it arrived, there would be official protests and diplomatic meetings. The politicians would demand justice through proper channels. But there would be another response, a quieter response. In the shadows of Earth's military, old plans would be reviewed, secret programs would be activated, and men like Colonel Marcus Chen would volunteer for missions that officially did not exist. The Zephyrians had wanted to send a message about territorial boundaries. They had succeeded, but they were about to learn that humans also knew how to send messages, and the human reply would be written in fire and steel across the stars. Colonel Marcus Chen sat alone in his quarters aboard the Earth Defense Force cruiser Normandy. The official report lay open on his desk, but he had already memorized every word. New Aberdeen Colony. Population 49,847. Casualties 47,231 confirmed. Dead 2,616 missing, presumed dead. His wife's name was on page 12. Elena Chen, age 39. Teacher at New Aberdeen Primary School. His daughters were listed right below her. Sophia and Maria Chen, age 7, students. The official report was cold and factual. It did not mention how Elena laughed when she made pancakes on Sunday mornings. It did not describe how Sophia collected rocks from the garden or how Maria always fell asleep reading adventure stories. Chen closed the report and walked to his small window. Outside, Earth hung in space like a blue marble. Somewhere down there, politicians were making speeches about justice and proper legal channels. The news reporters called it a tragedy and demanded diplomatic solutions. Chen knew better. He had fought in 6 different wars across 4 star systems. He understood what the Zephyrians had really done. This was not random violence. It was a message. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. "Come in." General Harrison entered the room. The old man looked tired. He had been commanding Earth's special forces for 15 years. He had personally signed the orders that sent Chen's family. To New Aberdeen, Marcus, I'm sorry. I know this doesn't help, but I need to tell you anyway. This is my fault. I recommended New Aberdeen because it was supposed to be safe. Chen turned from the window. His face showed no emotion. General, what's the real response? Harrison studied him carefully. Officially, economic sanctions, diplomatic protests. We're filing complaints with the Galactic Council. And unofficially, Project Lazarus has been activated. We're looking for volunteers. Chen had heard whispers about Project Lazarus. It was Earth's most classified military program. Nobody knew exactly what it involved, but rumors suggested it was designed for fighting enemies with superior technology. I volunteer. Marcus, you don't understand what you're signing up for. Lazarus is a one-way mission. The people who join disappear from official records. Families are told they died in training accidents. My family is already dead, General. Harrison was quiet for a long moment. Then he placed a data pad on Chen's desk. Report to Facility 7 tomorrow at 0600 hours. Your service record will be classified. Officially, Colonel Marcus Chen will die in a transport accident next week. After the general left, Chen picked up the data pad. It contained only an address and a security code. He looked around his quarters one last time. On his desk sat a photo of Elena and the twins at New Aberdeen's Harvest Festival. Sophia was missing her front teeth in the picture. Maria was wearing a crown made of flowers. He left the photo on the desk. Colonel Marcus Chen was about to die. The man who took his place would need no reminders of what he had lost. Facility 7 was hidden in the asteroid belt beyond Mars. Chen had never heard of it, despite 20 years in Earth's military. The transport shuttle was unmarked and flew, without a flight plan. The facility itself was built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. From the outside, it looked like natural rock. Inside, it hummed with activity. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked together on projects that had no names. Chen was met by Dr. Sarah Kim, a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and graying hair. She wore a lab coat over military fatigues. Colonel Chen, welcome to Lazarus. I'm sorry for your loss. We've all read your file. We know why you're here. She led him through corridors filled with strange equipment. In one lab, technicians were taking apart what looked like alien technology. In another, soldiers practiced with weapons that made no sound when fired. What is this place? Chen asked. Humanity's insurance policy. We've been preparing for this day since first contact with alien species 50 years ago. Every human government contributes resources, but they're not allowed to know details. Politicians talk too much. They stopped at an observation window. Below, Chen could see a massive construction bay. Dozens of ships were being built, but they looked like no human vessels he had ever seen. They were sleek and dark, with hulls that seemed to bend light around them. We've been studying alien technology for decades, Dr. Kim explained. Every trade agreement, every diplomatic meeting, every cultural exchange, we've been learning. The aliens think we're primitive. They share their secrets because they believe we can't understand them. Can we? Better than they think. We've been reverse engineering their technology and improving it. Human creativity combined with alien science produces interesting results. Chen watched as one of the strange ships powered up. Its hull shimmered and became almost invisible. The Zephyrians use quantum entanglement for communication, Dr. Kim continued. Their ship computers are linked across their entire fleet. It makes them very efficient. It also makes them vulnerable to the right kind of attack. What do you need me to do? Learn everything we can teach you, then disappear into space with a small team. Find Zephyrian weaknesses, exploit them, make them regret attacking New Aberdeen. Chen smiled for the first time since reading the casualty report. How long do I have to prepare? 6 months. We're not ready yet. But when we are, you'll have everything you need to hurt them. And after that? Dr. Kim was quiet for a moment. After that, the Zephyrians will learn that destroying human families was the worst mistake they ever made. Over the following weeks, Chen threw himself into training. He learned about Zephyrian psychology, tactics, and technology. He studied their language and culture. Most importantly, he learned how their quantum communication networks could be hacked and controlled. The other members of his team were all volunteers with similar stories. Sergeant Torres had lost his brother on New Aberdeen. Lieutenant Park's parents had been visiting the colony when it was destroyed. Engineer Walsh's daughter had been a student at the colony's technical school. They trained together in the asteroid facility's zero-gravity chambers. They practiced with new weapons that could disrupt alien technology. They learned to pilot the stealth ships that would carry them into enemy territory. None of them talked about revenge. They called it a mission, but everyone understood what they were really preparing for. Meanwhile, the official diplomatic process continued. Earth's ambassadors filed formal complaints. The Galactic Council scheduled hearings. Economic sanctions were imposed on Zephyrian trade routes. The Zephyrians ignored it all. Admiral Kethvar was promoted for his successful demonstration of hegemony power. New Aberdeen was already being forgotten by alien politicians who had never cared about human colonies anyway. But in the asteroid belt beyond Mars, humanity was preparing a different kind of response. The kind of response that would remind the galaxy why it was dangerous to make humans angry. Colonel Marcus Chen officially died in a transport accident 6 months after New Aberdeen's destruction. At the same time, a ghost with his face and memories disappeared into the dark between the stars, carrying weapons that should not exist and knowledge that could topple empires. The Zephyrians had taught humanity about territorial boundaries. Now humanity would teach them about consequences. 6 months after New Aberdeen burned, strange things began happening on the edges of Zephyrian space. The first incident occurred at Outpost Zeta 7, a remote communication relay that monitored human shipping lanes. The night shift operator noticed some unusual readings just before his screens went dark. When the day shift arrived, they found the entire communication array had somehow melted from the inside. The metal looked like it had been cooked by intense heat, but there were no signs of external attack. Equipment failure, the investigators concluded. The quantum resonance chambers must have overloaded. 3 weeks later, a supply convoy disappeared between Zeta 7 and the main fleet base at Kepler Station. The 5 cargo ships had been carrying food, ammunition, and replacement parts for the border patrol. They sent their regular check-in message, then simply vanished. Search teams found nothing except some scattered debris that might have come from anywhere. Pirates, suggested the convoy commander. Human raiders have been getting bolder lately, but Admiral Kethvar was beginning to notice a pattern. From his office on the flagship Dominant Will, he studied reports from across the frontier. 12 separate incidents in 2 months. Each one could be explained by bad luck or incompetence. Together, they formed a circle around Zephyrian territory. "Show me the locations again," he ordered his intelligence officer. The star map appeared on his desk display. Red dots marked each incident. Kethvar traced his finger around them, connecting the dots in his mind. They formed a rough perimeter exactly 1 jump away from major Zephyrian bases. "Sir, there's another report from Patrol Group Delta," his aide announced. "They detected unidentified ships on the edge of the Vega system, but the contacts disappeared before weapons could be brought to bear." "How many ships?" "Unknown, sir. The sensor contacts lasted only a few seconds. Could have been asteroids or sensor ghosts." Kethvar was not convinced. In his 40 years of military service, he had learned to trust his instincts. These incidents were not random. Someone was watching them. Someone was learning their patrol routes and supply schedules. Double the sensor sweeps on all border systems. I want to know about every piece of space dust larger than a grain of sand. While the Zephyrians tried to find their invisible enemy, that enemy was learning everything about them. Chen floated in the cramped cockpit of his stealth ship, the Whisper. Around him, displays showed detailed scans of the Zephyrian patrol cruiser 2,000 kilometers away. The alien ship was following its regular patrol pattern, exactly as it had for the past 6 weeks. "Torres, are you getting this?" he whispered, into his radio. "Copy that, Colonel. Their quantum signature is clear. Uploading to the analysis database now." Sergeant Torres was hidden in an asteroid field on the other side of the system, using passive sensors to record everything the Zephyrian ship transmitted. Every message, every routine scan, every system diagnostic was being captured and analyzed. Chen had been watching this particular ship for 3 days. He knew the captain preferred to take his meals at 800 ship time. He knew the crew rotated shifts every 6 hours. Most importantly, he knew their communication protocols and security codes. The Zephyrians believed their quantum entanglement networks were impossible to hack. They were wrong. Human scientists had been studying quantum mechanics for over a century. When Dr. Kim's team combined human knowledge with stolen alien technology, they created something neither species had imagined. A small device attached to Chen's ship was slowly synchronizing with the Zephyrian cruiser's quantum transmitter. Once the sync was complete, every message the ship sent would also be copied to Earth's computers. More importantly, Chen would be able to send messages that appeared to come from the Zephyrian ship itself. "Sync complete," reported Torres. "We own their communications." Chen smiled grimly. "Pack it up. Time to move to the next target." This was their routine. Find a Zephyrian ship or base, study it for days or weeks, plant listening devices, record communication protocols, then move on to the next target. For 6 months, Chen's team had been invisible ghosts haunting the edges of enemy territory. Their stealth ships were based on human technology that the aliens had never seen. The hulls were covered with metamaterials that bent sensor waves around them. The engines used a new type of drive that produced almost no detectable emissions. But the real advantage was patience. Humans could wait. They could watch the same patrol route for weeks until they memorized every detail. Zephyrians were efficient but predictable. They followed schedules and procedures with military precision. Once you learned their patterns, they became easy to track. "Colonel, this is Park," came another voice over the radio. "I've got eyes on the supply depot at Rigel 4, counting 15 cargo vessels and a light cruiser escort." Lieutenant Park was Chen's reconnaissance specialist. She had spent 2 weeks studying the depot from a hidden position in the system's outer asteroid belt. Her job was to map the facility's defenses and schedules. "Security status?" Chen asked. "Minimal. They're not expecting trouble this deep in their territory. I could take out their communications array with a single torpedo." "Negative? We're not ready for that yet. Continue observation." Chen understood the temptation to strike immediately. Every member of his team had lost family on New Aberdeen. They wanted revenge. But Chen had learned something important during his years as a Special Forces commander. Revenge served cold was more effective than hot anger. The Zephyrians still thought they were dealing with random equipment failures and pirate attacks. They had not yet realized they were being systematically studied and infiltrated. Chen wanted to keep it that way until he was ready to spring his trap. "All units, return to base," he ordered. "We have enough data for this week." The team's base was a hollowed-out asteroid in an unnamed system. From the outside, it looked like natural rock. Inside, it contained everything they needed: living quarters, a workshop, communication equipment, and most importantly, a quantum computer that could process the stolen Zephyrian data. Chen pulled himself through the airlock and found Engineer Walsh working at his usual station. The man's fingers flew across holographic displays as he analyzed the day's intelligence. "What have you learned?" Chen asked. Walsh looked up with tired eyes. He had been working 18-hour days for weeks. Their fleet movements are completely predictable. Every ship follows the same routes at the same times. It's like they're following a railroad schedule. He brought up a three-dimensional map of Zephyrian space. Colored lines showed ship movements over the past month. The pattern was clear and regular. They rotate patrol groups every 2 weeks, Walsh continued. Supply convoys follow fixed schedules. Even their communication protocols follow a predictable pattern. It's efficient, but it makes them vulnerable. Chen studied the map. After 6 months of observation, they finally had a complete picture of Zephyrian operations in this sector. He could predict where any ship would be at any given time. How many ships in total? 47 combat vessels, plus support ships. About half are patrol craft. The rest are stationed at major bases. Chen nodded slowly. 47 ships against his team of 12 people in 5 stealth vessels. The odds would normally be impossible, but Chen was not planning to fight fair. What about their command structure? Highly centralized. Admiral Kethvar commands the entire sector from his flagship. All major decisions flow through him. If we could take out the command ship, the rest of the fleet would be blind and confused, Chen finished. But that's not enough. We need to send a message that Earth will remember. He looked around the small command center. His team was preparing for something that would either save humanity's reputation or get them all killed. But that was a risk, worth taking. Start planning the operation, he ordered. It's time to show the Zephyrians what happens when you hurt human families. Outside the asteroid base, space looked empty and peaceful. But appearances could be deceiving. Hidden in the darkness, humanity's most dangerous warriors were about to emerge from the shadows. The hunt was about to become an execution. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the tactical display with growing frustration. For the past 2 weeks, his sensor operators had been tracking what appeared to be a small human fleet, conducting raids on the edges of Zephyrian territory. Report, he ordered his intelligence officer. 12 vessels, Admiral. They appear to be modified cargo ships with military-grade weapons. They've hit 3 supply depots and destroyed 2 communication relays. Each time they retreat before our patrol ships can respond. Kethvar studied the attack patterns. The humans were being careful, never staying in one place long enough to be cornered. But they were also predictable. Each raid brought them closer to the heavily defended Kepler system. They're running out of targets, observed his tactical officer. Soon they'll have to either retreat to human space or attack something better defended. Or they're leading us somewhere, Kethvar muttered. Something about this felt wrong. The attacks were too obvious, too easy to track. In his experience, humans were not usually so careless, but pressure was building from hegemony command. The raids were embarrassing the military leadership. Cargo ship captains were demanding better protection. Political leaders questioned whether the fleet could protect Zephyrian territory. Sir, we have a new contact, reported the sensor operator. The human fleet has been detected in the Theta Serpentis system. They appear to be trapped against the gravity well of the main star. Kethvar moved to the tactical station. The display showed 12 human ships clustered near a massive star. The system contained nothing of value except some asteroid mining operations. It seemed like a dead end. How did they get trapped there? Unknown, sir. Our patrol ships report that the humans' engines appear to be damaged. They're not moving at normal speed. This was the opportunity Kethvar had been waiting for. The human raiders had finally made a mistake. They were trapped in a system with no escape route, their ships damaged and vulnerable. Signal all ships. In the sector, he commanded. We're going to end this threat once and for all. Within 4 hours, Kethvar had assembled a task force of 20 warships, 3 heavy cruisers, 8 destroyers, and 9 patrol craft. Enough firepower to destroy a small planet. Against 12 damaged cargo ships, it would be a massacre. The fleet jumped into the Theta Serpentis system in perfect formation. Kethvar felt satisfaction as his sensors confirmed the human ships were still there, still apparently trapped by the star's gravity. Deploy in standard encirclement pattern, he ordered. "I want those ships surrounded before they realize we're here." The Zephyrian fleet spread out in a wide circle around the human vessels. Each ship took its assigned position with military precision. In minutes, the humans would be completely surrounded with no hope of escape. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet," reported his communications officer. "Put it through." A human face appeared on the main screen. The man looked middle-aged with short dark hair and calm eyes. He wore a black military uniform with no visible rank insignia. "Admiral Kethvar, I presume. I am Colonel Marcus Chen of, the Earth Defense Force." Kethvar frowned. Something about the name seemed familiar, but he could not place it. "Colonel Chen, you and your ships are surrounded. Surrender immediately, and you will be treated according to military convention." Chen smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Admiral, do you remember New Aberdeen?" The memory hit Kethvar like a physical blow. New Aberdeen, the farming colony he had destroyed 6 months ago. Chen. He remembered now. One of the casualty reports had mentioned a Colonel Marcus Chen's family among the dead. "You came here for revenge," Kethvar realized. "I came here to deliver a message," Chen replied. "The same kind of message you sent to Earth." Something was wrong. Chen looked too calm for a man who was about to die. His ship showed no signs of panic or desperate escape attempts. If anything, the humans seemed to be waiting for something. "Sir, I'm reading some unusual energy signatures from the asteroid belt," reported the sensor operator. "It could be interference from the star's magnetic field." Kethvar felt a chill run down his spine. The asteroid belt. He had not thought to scan it carefully when they arrived. His attention had been focused on the trapped human ships, full sensor sweep of the asteroid belt. Now! The results appeared on his screen moments later. The asteroid belt was not empty. Hidden among the rocks were dozens of ships, human ships, military vessels that had been invisible until now. "It's a trap," breathed his tactical officer. But that was not the worst of it. As Kethvar watched in horror, half of his own fleet began turning their weapons toward their sister ships. The quantum communication network that connected all Zephyrian vessels was somehow compromised. The humans had taken control of his own ships. "All ships, this is Admiral Kethvar," he broadcast on emergency channels. "We are under attack. Human forces have compromised our communications. Switch to backup protocols immediately." But it was too late. The ships under human control opened fire on their own fleet. Blue energy beams lanced across space, striking Zephyrian vessels that had not yet realized they were under attack. 3 destroyers exploded in the first salvo. "How is this possible?" demanded Kethvar. Chen's voice came through the communication system, speaking to the entire Zephyrian fleet. "6 months ago, you destroyed New Aberdeen Colony. You killed 47,000 innocent people, including my wife and daughters. You thought you were sending a message about boundaries and territory." The battle raged around them as Chen continued speaking. Human ships emerged from the asteroid belt like deadly ghosts. Some of the compromised Zephyrian vessels had turned back to their original allegiance, but confusion reigned throughout the fleet. "You were right about messages, Admiral. They are important. So let me deliver Earth's reply." Kethvar watched his tactical display in disbelief. His 20-ship task force was being systematically destroyed by enemies who seemed to know every move before he made it. The humans had not just hacked his communications, they had studied his fleet for months, learning every weakness and vulnerability. Destroyer tried to ram one of the human cargo ships only to discover that the cargo ship was actually a warship disguised with false hull plating. The destroyer's weapons bounced harmlessly off military-grade shields while the human ship returned fire with devastating precision. "Sir, we've lost 8 ships," reported his tactical officer. "The humans seemed to know our exact positions and weapon capabilities." Of course they did. Chen's people had been watching them for months. Every patrol route, every communication protocol, every tactical doctrine had been observed and analyzed. The Zephyrians had been fighting with predictable patterns while the humans adapted and improvised. "Admiral," Chen's voice continued over the radio, "you wanted to teach humanity about territorial boundaries. Consider the lesson learned. Now, let us teach you about consequences." A new explosion lit up Kethvar's view screen as another Zephyrian cruiser died. The human attack was not random or chaotic. It was precisely coordinated, like a surgeon removing a cancer. Each target was chosen for maximum psychological impact. "Sir, the humans are jamming our retreat vectors," reported the navigation officer. "We can't jump to hyperspace." Kethvar realized with growing horror that he was experiencing exactly what the colonists of New Aberdeen had felt. Helplessness, desperation, the knowledge that death was coming, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it was over, 19 Zephyrian ships had been destroyed. Only Kethvar's flagship remained intact, its weapons disabled and engines dead. Chen's face appeared on the screen again. Behind him, Kethvar could see the bridge of what had appeared to be a cargo ship, but now it was clearly a state-of-the-art warship crewed by professional soldiers. "Admiral, you are free to return to Zephyrian space. You will carry a message to your leaders. For every human civilian killed, they will lose a warship. For every colony attacked, they will lose a system. This is just the beginning." Kethvar found his voice. "The hegemony will not accept this. We will send 100 ships to hunt you down." Chen smiled that cold smile again. "Admiral, let me share something that should be impossible. Your next supply convoy will leave Rigel Station at 0347 tomorrow morning. It will consist of 15 cargo vessels escorted by 2 destroyers. The convoy commander is Captain Vextar, and he prefers to take the direct route through the Altair system." Kethvar felt his blood turn to ice. That information was classified at the highest levels. The convoy schedule had been planned only hours ago in a secure facility deep in Zephyrian space. "How do you know that?" "We know everything, Admiral. Every ship movement, every communication, every plan your leaders make. Earth has been preparing for this war longer than you can imagine. The Zephyrians thought they were dealing with primitive colonists. You were wrong." The transmission ended, leaving Kethvar alone with the wreckage of his fleet. Around him, his surviving crew worked desperately to restore basic ship functions. But the Admiral barely noticed. His mind was focused on the implications of what had just happened. The humans had not just won a battle. They had demonstrated capabilities that should not exist, technology that seemed impossible, intelligence networks that reached into the heart of Zephyrian space. The emergency session of the Zephyrian High Command convened on the fortress world of Hegemon Prime. Military leaders from across the Empire gathered in the vast circular chamber, their faces grim with worry and anger. At the center of the room, Admiral Kethvar stood alone before a holographic display showing the wreckage from the Battle of Theta Serpentis. "Explain to us again how 20 ships were destroyed by a handful of human cargo vessels," demanded Fleet Marshal Zeth Cole, the supreme commander of all Zephyrian forces. Kethvar had been dreading this moment for the 3 days it took his damaged flagship to reach home. "Marshal, they were not cargo vessels. The humans had disguised military ships to look like freighters. More importantly, they had somehow compromised our quantum communication network." "Impossible!" snapped Admiral Vextar from the high seats. "Human technology is centuries behind ours. They lack the scientific knowledge to interfere with quantum entanglement." "And yet they did it," Kethvar replied. "Half my fleet was under their control during the battle. They made our own ships fire on each other." Uncomfortable murmurs filled the chamber. The idea that humans could hack Zephyrian technology challenged everything they believed about their technological superiority. Even if we accept this impossible claim, said Fleet Marshal Zethkol, how did they know about our classified convoy schedules and fleet movements? Kethvar had no answer for that question. During the long journey home, he had reviewed every security protocol and communication procedure. There was no logical way the humans should have access to that information. Marshal, I believe we have underestimated the humans. Badly. This Colonel Chen knew things that should be impossible for him to know. He spoke as if Earth has been watching us for months, maybe years. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others questioned Kethvar's competence. A few wise voices suggested caution until they understood what they were facing. Fleet Marshal Zethkol raised his hand for silence. Admiral Kethvar, you will submit to a full investigation of your actions. This defeat will not go unpunished. Marshal, with respect, punishing me will not solve the real problem. The humans have declared war on us, and they appear to be winning. Before anyone could respond, an aide rushed into the chamber carrying an urgent message tablet. He whispered quickly to the Fleet Marshal, whose face went pale as he read the report. The supply convoy to Rigel Station has been attacked, Zethkol announced. 15 cargo ships and 2 destroyer escorts. All destroyed. No survivors. The chamber fell silent. It was exactly the convoy Chen had mentioned during their conversation. Exactly when and where he had predicted. How did they know? Whispered someone from the back of the room. Admiral Kethvar felt no satisfaction at being proven right. Because they have sources inside our command structure, or they can monitor our communications in ways we don't understand. Either way, we are compromised. Over the following weeks, more attacks followed. A communication relay station simply disappeared, its entire structure somehow disintegrated. A patrol squadron reported strange sensor readings before their ships suffered simultaneous engine failures that left them drifting helpless in space. Supply depots experienced mysterious explosions that destroyed only military equipment while leaving civilian areas untouched. Each attack was precise and targeted. The humans were not killing indiscriminately. They were methodically dismantling Zephyrian military capabilities while sending a clear message. We can strike anywhere, anytime, and you cannot stop us. Worse, news of the defeats was spreading to other species. For 300 years, the Zephyrian hegemony had maintained peace through strength. Other civilizations respected them because they believed Zephyrian military power was unstoppable. Now that reputation was crumbling, the Altarian Republic quietly withdrew from several trade agreements. The Centauri Federation began increasing their own military spending. Most concerning of all, reports suggested that several species were opening secret diplomatic channels with Earth. Fleet Marshal Zethkol found himself in an impossible position. Every conventional response seemed to play into human hands. If he sent large fleets to hunt the human raiders, they simply disappeared into empty space. If he tried to protect every target, his forces were spread too thin to be effective. Meanwhile, the political pressure was enormous. Hegemony citizens demanded action against the humans who dared attack their military. Trade guilds complained about lost cargo and interrupted supply lines. Military families wanted revenge for their dead. The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Mirval, the hegemony's chief technology officer, had been studying the wreckage from Theta Serpentis. Her report arrived just as Zethkol was considering a massive retaliatory strike against Earth itself. Marshal, we have underestimated human technological capabilities. This stealth technology they're using is based on principles we thought were theoretical. Their computer systems show evidence of quantum processing capabilities that exceed our own. How is that possible? They appear to have been secretly developing advanced technology for decades, possibly with help from other species. More concerning, they've taken our technology and improved it. The weapon signatures from the battle show energy outputs that should be impossible for their power systems. Dr. Mirval activated a holographic display showing technical analysis of the human weapons. Marshal, these are not the crude projectile weapons we've seen from human colonies. These are energy weapons that may be more advanced than our own. Zethkol studied the data with growing unease. Doctor, what are you saying? I'm saying that we may have provoked a war with an enemy we cannot defeat, at least not with conventional tactics. The truth was worse than Dr. Mirval suspected. Earth's technological development had not been random or accidental. For 50 years, human scientists had been systematically studying every alien technology they encountered. Trade missions became intelligence-gathering operations. Cultural exchanges provided opportunities to analyze alien computer systems. Diplomatic meetings were chances to plant listening devices. Most importantly, humanity had prepared for the possibility that they would face a technologically superior enemy. Project Lazarus was only one of several classified programs designed to level the playing field. While politicians talked about peaceful coexistence, human military planners prepared for war. The breaking point came when Colonel Chen sent his final message to the Zephyrian High Command. The transmission was broadcast simultaneously to every military base and government facility in the hegemony. Somehow, the humans had gained access to their most secure communication networks. Chen appeared on screens across Zephyrian space, standing once again on the bridge of his disguised warship. Behind him, data displays showed detailed intelligence about Zephyrian fleet positions, supply schedules, and defensive capabilities. Leaders of the Zephyrian hegemony, I am Colonel Marcus Chen, of Earth. 6 months ago, you destroyed New Aberdeen Colony and killed my family. You did this to send a message about territorial boundaries and respect for your authority. The message was being recorded at military bases and government offices throughout the Empire. There was no way to stop it or jam the signal. Your message was received and understood. Now you will understand ours. Earth does not recognize Zephyrian territorial claims. Earth does not accept hegemony authority over human colonies. Earth will defend its people by any means necessary. Chen paused, allowing his words to sink in. When he continued, his voice was calm but filled with quiet menace. You have lost 19 warships and over 300 supply vessels. This is payment for New Aberdeen. If you attack another human colony, the cost will be higher. If you threaten Earth itself, we will destroy your civilization. Technical data began flowing across Zephyrian communication networks. Detailed specifications for human weapons and stealth technology. Complete intelligence files on Zephyrian military capabilities. Most shocking of all, evidence that human agents had been operating inside hegemony space for years. You thought you were dealing with a primitive species that could be intimidated. You were wrong. Humanity has been preparing for this war since first contact with alien civilizations. We hoped it would never be necessary. You made it necessary. The transmission showed video footage from human colonies across the galaxy, advanced defensive systems being activated, military forces emerging from hidden bases, fleets of warships that had been disguised as civilian vessels revealing their true nature. These are the new rules, Chen announced. Earth claims the right to defend human colonies anywhere in the galaxy. We claim the right to establish military bases wherever we choose. We claim the right to travel freely through any system. Any species that attacks human civilians will face retaliation. The transmission ended with coordinates and scheduling data for the next 6 months of Zephyrian fleet movements. Information that should have been impossible for humans to possess. Fleet Marshal Zethkol stared at the blank screen, understanding that everything had changed. The hegemony's military superiority was based on other species believing they could not be defeated. That belief was now shattered. More importantly, the humans had demonstrated capabilities that suggested they had been planning this confrontation for decades. The